Welcome to Championship Saturday at the 2018 ASANA Softball World Series. We are in the elimination game of the D division here. And we've got the Speedy Honu of San Jose against the Austin, Texas Angels. And the winner of this game will continue through the bracket. The loser will be done for the weekend. This is Roman Jimenez on the Cloud Sports Network, and with me in the booth is Dr. Joel Trambley, who will be helping with the color commentary. Say hello, Joel.
Good morning, Roman. This is going to be an exciting day of softball, especially after what we saw yesterday, to think that this is going to be better teams playing tighter games.
So we're just waiting on the timer to get started on the scoreboard, and then these teams will take the field and get ready to go as they begin to meander out there. In the meantime, today's games are brought to you by Dirt Athletics, your premier choice for event apparel, a key ASANA partner for 11 years. If you've been to ASANA's tournament, chances are you've come home with dirt on you. If you're looking to upgrade the hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and shorts for your event, find out what Dirt can do for you. Check them out at facebook.com/Dirt Athletics. And Joel, we've got championship play today. Saturday, every team starts off their week hoping to get to this day, because on this day anything can happen. Injuries suddenly heal, stress suddenly elevates, and we are at beautiful Valeries Park here in the Chalmette area of Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans. And we're just about a mile or so away from the historic Chalmette battlefield, where a little over 200 years ago, Army General Andrew Jackson was able to beat back the British at the famous Battle of New Orleans, the last great fight in the War of 1812. And so it is fitting then that 75 of the world's best softball teams have converged here on the Big Easy to go ballin' in the Bayou.
It's just a beautiful venue here. We've got fields that have survived rain and heat and back on and off again. These fields, you'll notice that there's some brown out there, but that is actually turf on the infield, and they've been playing very well. Pretty true hops on the infield and some very good play in the outfield. This is a particularly big field. Some of the fields have varied in size this week. This field is 355 to deep center field, so outfielders are going to have to showcase some speed to cover all that territory today.
And I don't know if you can see it or not, but right at the end of the turf is where the grass meets. There's a little bit of a dirt ring there, and I'll say it's probably about 150 feet, 160 feet away from home plate, and that is the confluence of the grass and the turf. So the outfield is grass, like you were saying, and the dirt is infield, or the turf is the infield. So you get a mixture of ball speeds. When the ball is hit in the infield, it goes quite a bit faster. And then when it gets to the outfield, it slows down a little bit. And because of the humidity that we've been experiencing over the last few days, that outfield is playing slow.
It is playing slow, and yesterday after the rains we had at about midday, you were seeing some splashes and some slides out there. It's good that that lip between the turf and the grass is past where the shortstop and second baseman have been playing, because otherwise those lips can cause some nasty hops. But right now, most of the outfielders have been able to pick those up if they happen.
Let's talk a little bit about the weather as this game is getting ready to get started. Right now, the skies are beautiful, but there is an ominous forecast coming up later this afternoon, starting really late morning. There's about a 40 to 50% chance of moisture from 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, and 4 o'clock. So really that is a 5-hour window there where things could get a little dicey.
But we've seen yesterday, they will keep these games going in the rain for as long as they can. Lightning is going to bring people right back into the dugout, but unless the rains get very heavy, they'll try to play, and this turf infield has shown an ability to drain and let these games keep going.
So Rios is going to lead off the inning here for the Austin Angels, and she takes a ball. Home plate umpire is Ashley Cerna from Austin, Texas, and she calls a strike there. So that's 2-2. We'll explain what that means here in a second. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Rio sends a shot out to left center field. That's a little bit short, but the left center fielder comes in and makes it easy enough. So the play goes fly ball to the left center fielder, who were number 8. So F8 is how that is scored, and that will bring up the second batter of the inning.
Roman, you mentioned the count. It's worth noting that all the batters start with a 1-1 count.
You are right, and we have a long ground ball right down the third baseline, and we've got a stand-up double right away. And our first double of the game is brought to you by the Sports Diversity Leadership Council. The SDLC is a membership organization of sports teams, leagues, and organizations, as well as corporate partners, convention and visitors bureaus, sports commissions, and individuals working together to harness the power of the sports community. ASANA is a proud member of the SDLC, and you can find out more at sportsdiversityleadership.com. Was that a strike there?
I believe that was a strike.
There's a 1-2 count and a little lob out to right field. That's going to get caught, and the runner's going to advance from second. Folks, we're still waiting on that Austin lineup, so I'm not entirely sure the names here, but we'll get them for you.
So going back to that 1-1 count, that means every batter starts with a ball and a strike. So 2 more strikes, which can be foul balls, and you're striking out, and only 3 more balls to get a walk. We've probably seen more strikeouts this week than walks, at least in the later games.
Well, and part of that was the sun. The sun was just brutal yesterday afternoon for these batters. There's a little soft liner out to the second baseman, who does an outstanding dive to get that. That was Katie Fernandez on the hit, and a great defensive stop there. So that will be all 3 outs as Fernandez lines out to second, and we'll see the Speedy Honu of San Jose coming up. This is a good time to remind you that the first pitch to the home team will be brought to you by Compete Magazine. From the hottest interviews and sexiest photo shoots to game day coverage and fitness tips, Compete Magazine offers something fresh and unique for everyone. Since 2006, each print and digital issue of Compete Magazine is richly designed and packed with a slew of exceptional features and columns. Throughout the year, our readers are entertained by special features such as our widely popular swimsuit issue and the Athlete of the Year award. Check them out at CompeteNetwork.com.
Just a little bit more about the field for our new viewers on this first game this morning. The bases are 70 feet apart in softball, and the pitcher's line, there's no mound here, is about 50 feet from home plate. And what the pitchers are looking for is to throw a ball that goes no higher than 12 feet but over 6 feet, and then it has to pass the batter between the shoulders and the knees and be over the plate. Anything higher or lower than that can be called illegal, and you might see the umpire stick an arm out, and that means they've already decided that the pitch is illegal. The batter can still swing and put that ball in play, but if they take it, it's a ball.
So, Joel, tell us about the no foul to give rule.
So the no foul to give means that if you have 2 strikes and you foul a ball off, that is a strikeout. In some leagues, you get 1 extra pitch in that situation, but not here at the World Series.
And that ball is called a ball to Falafine, Falafine from San Jose. And that ball hits the plate. So we've got a 3-1 count, thanks to that 1-1 count when you first step into the box. Here's the 3-1 pitch. And that is also a ball. So that's inside. So it takes 3 balls to walk here. And Falafine finds herself on board with a leadoff walk. And that'll bring up Reynoso of Speedy Honu. And I'm told that Honu means turtle in native Hawaiian. So they are the Speedy Turtles.
California known for some interesting sports mascots, the banana slugs among others.
There's a line shot out to right center field. That's going to drop in time. Falafine heads to second. She's going to get there. The ball was a little bit slippery. It looked like the right center fielder there was thinking about trying to get the force out at second, which we have seen plenty of times already at this tournament. But no such luck there as Reynoso is able to get on board with a single. So we've got runners at first and second for Falafine. There's a fly ball to left center field. She's in on it, gets on her horse, tracks it down. So I said Falafine twice. We have Le'i Falalin and Nara Falafine. And that was Nara Falafine who just flied out to left center. For the first out, that'll bring up Bartel. Runners at first and second, and 1 out.
And those were some impressive catches coming in. They look like, it may look like the outfielders are playing shallow, but part of that is because the outfield is so deep. They're actually playing at a fairly normal depth and just hustling in to get those short flies.
looking for a third base coach over there. So the coach of the Speedy Honu, Mary Blumdahl, is going to head over there. Here's a pitch. That one hits the plate, called a ball.
And hitting the plate is always going to be called a ball in this league.
There's the line shot down the third base line. Gets past the third baseman, and Rios gets the ball in as Falafine Lai gets to third, Reynoso gets to second, and Bartel is on board with a single. That'll bring up Kawamoto with the bases loaded. Full of turtles as they were. Takes the ball inside. Here's the 2-1. That one catches the corner. That was a beautiful pitch.
Beautiful pitch, especially with pressure with the bases loaded and a ball already.
Nowhere to put her. Kawamoto fouls that one out, and that's going to be a strikeout. 2 down. So it'll be up to Bustamante to try to get a run in with the bases full of turtles.
And they've got to get some of these runs home. It's really tough to get the bases loaded with less than 2 outs and not score a run.
That one just a little deep. Couldn't tell if she called that illegal or not.
I thought I saw that arm come out, but I wasn't sure.
Looked like, yeah. There's the fly ball, right center field. That one's going to drop. In comes Falafine, and rounding third will be Reynoso. And we'll have our first 2 runs of the game, and that is sponsored by PTS Logistics, an Atlanta-based third-party logistics provider specializing in white glove delivery service, custom fulfillment, long and short-term warehousing, and dry ice sales and distribution. Let PTS Logistics do a run for you. Check them out at pts-ga.com.
And just that little bobble in the outfield might have let that runner come in from third. Everybody is running the bases aggressively at the World Series.
There's a pop-up, and that'll be strike 3. It hit the net, but it was going to be foul anyway. And that is the end of the inning. So the Speedy Honu of San Jose plate 2 runs, and we've got a score of 2-0 as the Austin Angels come up here in the top of the second. It'll be Gola and then Fideli. That'll be followed by Burke, Rodriguez, Morris, Young, and Henry, if we get that far, and then we'll flip the lineup card back over. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, remember these games are interactive, so you can jump into the comment section and root on your favorite team or root for your favorite player or maybe even argue with the umpire. Like I said, we had Ashley Cerna from Austin, Texas behind the plate, and Darren Elliott of Kansas City out there on the bases, affectionately called the Rabbit in a 2-umpire mechanic. That's what we'll have here. Remember, the winner of this game advances in the tournament, and the loser of this game is done for the week, as we are deep into the D division bracket at this point. So it'll be Gola coming up to the plate. She is the pitcher. And then Fideli and Burke.
And there's another nice pitch right over the inside corner.
Here's the 1-2, and there's a shot to left center field. She's up with it and tracks it. I think that ball carried a little bit more than she thought it was going to. She had to kind of leave her feet to get that, but safely enough, as the count is, or the score gets F8 for the first out.
Those low line drives can be the hardest to read in the outfield. There are some flags out on the outfield fence, and they look like they're just hanging, so I don't think that was the wind on that one.
There's a fly ball for out number 2. That'll bring up Burke. She's the catcher in this game. Two outs now. Speedy Honu would like nothing more than to get a quick 1-2-3 inning and then go back right out to the plate to try to get some more runs here. That pitch is called illegal, too high. The arc, again, as Joel mentioned, is 6-12, and the umpire's discretion says that that was more than 12 feet. And we have a little flare duck snort out to the shortstop, who's going to get a glove on it, but not able to bring it in.
It just rolls a little too far away to get that force out of second.
Speaking of, I had incorrectly said that Fidelli was out on that fly ball. She was not. She's at second base. Burke is safe at first, and so we've got runners at first and second. And math tells me that that is only then one out.
We have some really nice bleachers that are covered in grade for seating, but they do obstruct the view from up here a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that that ball was actually caught. I didn't see that it wasn't.
And you can see the shadows coming from the third base to first base side. You mentioned some difficulty with the sun hitting yesterday.
There's a line shot out to left center field. That one will not be caught. She's up with it, fires to second, but overthrows her target as the ball gets away from the pitcher in the backup and then finally to the catcher. So that'll load up the bases again. So we've got Fidelli at third, Burke at short, and Rodriguez at first base, and that'll bring up Morris with the bases loaded.
And it doesn't look like the sun's going to be affecting the hitters, but it could get in the eyes maybe of the first
second base,
and,
first base, right field. Yeah, right field, right center. There's a swing, sends a shot out to left field. That one is caught. Here comes Fidelli in from third.
How and when to throw home is something these teams talk a lot about. It didn't hurt anybody on that one, but sometimes by gunning it to the plate for a chance, you let those runners move and get yourself out of force plays, which you want to keep for later at bats.
There's a line shot down the left field line. Joel, what's going to happen here? And it's a catch. So that'll be all three. But the Austin Angels do plate a run. And so the score is San Jose Honu 2 and the Austin Angels 1.
And right now it seems like both outfields are okay where they're playing based on how far those fly balls are going. But if somebody can get a hold of one and put it over those outfielders' heads, they're going to back up, and you might see a little bit more dropping in front of them as well.
That'll bring up Staten to lead off the inning for the Honu. She takes the ball outside. So it'll be Staten, Osei, and Schroeder for San Jose. And we've got 2 balls in a row. So that brings the count to 3 balls and 1 strike. Here's the pitch. That is a walk. Staten makes it to first with a leadoff walk, which is exactly what happened to Falafine the last time she came up to lead off the game. So a pair of leadoff walks here. And Falafine would come in to score for the first of the 2 Honu runs in the last inning. And there's a swing and a miss from Osei. So that brings up 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 on, nobody out. There's a ground ball to short, could be 2. Right into the glove, she's going to take it herself. Steps on 2, fires over to first, not going to be in time. So Staten is out on the force. Osei legs it out and is safe on the fielder's choice as the play goes 6 unassisted to 2. That'll bring up.
Sometimes hard to tell on those plays, but the shortstop running to take it herself is often just it saves the throw and makes that out a little more secure.
There's a fly ball to shallow left center field. That ball's going to drop right on the lip of the grass. Osei was kind of stuck in no man's land there. She had to go at least a little bit ways, and so she did, halfway. So she gets to second, and Schroeder gets to first. That will bring up Bennett.
And you can see these outfielders when there's someone running from first trying to get that ball in one motion to throw it to second to try to get that out.
That was a good recovery, too, after that swing and a miss. Ground ball, third base, she's up with it. She's going to take it herself to 3. For 1, steps on the bag, fires over to first, but not in time as the ball gets away. So Osei is out at third, but Schroeder, who was running to second, makes it to third. thinks about going home, takes a little bit of an aggressive turn, but thinks better of it because that ball got back to the pitcher pretty quickly.
And that's the danger going for those double plays. If you overthrow first or there's a little bobble, that runner might get an extra base.
So Schroeder's at third, Bennett's at first, and that'll bring up Bloom. Takes a ball inside.
But a double play can be a huge lift for the team, and especially the pitcher out there.
And there's a little flare out to third. That ball is going to bounce foul. That was mercifully foul, too, because that run was scoring absolutely on that.
Waiting on that ball was absolutely the right thing to do. If you wait and pick that ball up, you're going to have a hard time getting the out at first and almost no chance to stop that run. So,
which just goes against every instinct an infielder has. You want to get that ball because it's coming to you. And to just let it go is a gamble, but the right play. And there's a swinging strikeout for out number 3 as Bloom goes down swinging. So that'll bring up the top of the order, Falafine, Reynoso, and then Falafine again. Coming up as we head into the third. But for now, it will be the Angels of Austin.
As you said, Roman, it's tough coaching. It's charge that ball, but don't touch it yet.
Kind of goes against your instincts.
And one of the things we were seeing through the tournament yesterday was incredible defense. We had some great tight, low-scoring games, even some things going to extra innings. So, and some the shortstop play, especially as we get into these later rounds, has been exceptional.
That it has. That strikeout by Bloom was brought to you by 100% Bully Proof. If you've ever been the victim of bullying, whether it was at family, school, or at work, find out how you can transform your thoughts and actions to strike out your bullied spirit. Find out more about their boot camps or team building workshops at 100%bully-proof.com.
And the viewers might notice the pitcher is wearing a mask. That's something that is becoming more common in many divisions and leagues in softball.
Speaking of, right back over the pitcher's head, not able to get to it, but the shortstop gets it, fires it over to first, but the backstop there with an assist and the backup is able to knock that ball right back into the field of play. So no advance by the runner. That was Rios.
In ASANA, you're allowed to hit the ball back up the middle through what's called the pitching box. So that one wasn't really dangerous, but you'll see some line drives going right back to the pitcher because the middle is a good place to train your hitters to hit.
We've seen a few of those already.
After seeing some injuries, more pitchers are choosing to wear the mask, and some of the member leagues are actually enforcing it as a rule these days.
I have yet not converted to the mask, but I certainly recognize its value. There's a ground ball right up to the shortstop. She's up with it, takes it herself, steps on 2, fires over to 1, gets the out of 2, but not in time for 1.
And it looks like they're going to keep trying for that double play.
And rightfully so.
And no other runner, so that one wasn't going to cost him anything. I have converted to the mask, and my guess is that because of the insurances that the leagues have to cover, a lot of it may end up being insurance-driven that a lot of people go to that mask.
There's a ground ball over to second base. He gets it, fires over to shortstop, gets that out, the leadoff runner, rather.
And a nice job there. It was a shorter throw to first, but if you can keep that runner out of scoring position, that's the way to go.
That'll bring up Fernandez. She takes a strike. There's a hard line drive right up the middle. The runner's going to ground second and head for third. She's going to round third and head for home, and she's going to score. Here's the throw. It way over the head of the catcher as Fernandez rounds first and heads into second on the throw.
You know, that runner scored anyway, but that was a really nice pickup by the left center fielder on her glove. That ball looked like it might be headed to the wall in center field, but she just managed to snag it right off the grass out there.
It was a hard hit by Fernandez. That'll bring up Gola. There's a little flare out past the glove of the shortstop as Fernandez is going to round third and head for home. Here comes the throw. It's going to be up the line. And on the throw, Gola's going to head to second, so it's trading places with her. As the Angels now have plated 2 in this inning, tying and then now taking the lead. Angels 3, Honu 2.
And that was a strong throw out there from left center, just a little up the line.
That'll bring up Fideli, who fooled me last time with what she did. I thought she had flown out to left field. She had gotten a hit to left field and later scored. There's a ground ball past the glove of the shortstop, and here comes Gola rounding third, headed home. They're going to try to cut her down, not in time. The ball gets away from the catcher, and yet again, a runner has traded places with the runner who was at second base. Joel, do they need to be cutting that ball off?
You know, how and when to throw home is a decision that teams usually make together and have a little bit of a culture about. But, you know, it's great to make that play at the plate and save that run. But what you're losing is the force out at second. And as we said earlier, that's something that can really help on short balls to the outfield or give you a quicker throw to the infield. So it is a choice that they make to be coming home. But, you know, they've got to get those throws better and get those outs.
There's a line drive right back at the pitcher, and that will end the inning. So that was Morris.
In fact, that's one of those things that comes up. Most of these teams are able to pick up a few players who might not have played with them in the regular season when they come to the World Series. And one of the first things coaches get asked sometimes is, hey, am I allowed to throw at home? Because some teams just don't do it. You have to know who can throw, and you also have to know how good your catcher is.
But I can get it. I can get him out.
The other thing that seems to prompt throws home on my team, at least, is players who feel like they bobbled it and need to make up for it, which doesn't always work the way they're hoping.
It almost has the opposite effect. I have to hurry up and rush. So that'll bring up Honu, trailing by 2. As the score is Angels 4, Honu 2. Here's the pitch. To Falafine, La'i Falafine. There's a fly ball, right center field. That is caught by the right center fielder. So the play goes F to 9 for 1 out. That'll bring up Reynoso. Called strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fly ball, left field. Going to go all the way to the wall as Reynoso rounds first, heads to second. She's chugging around second, takes an aggressive turn. They get this ball into the cut, and they're going to hold Reynoso there. So a stand-up double by Reynoso to try to get some of these runs back with 1 out. That'll bring up, That'll bring up Nara Falafine, or Nara Falafine. Gonna have to settle on how to pronounce that. Here's the pitch. A little bit deep. Looked like it crossed the plate there, but just was deep. That one as well. 3 balls, 1 strike. Oh, and she hits a rocket right at the third baseman, who is up with it easily. That was a kill or be killed kind of at bat.
That's why they call it the hot corner over there.
So LD5 will bring up Bartell. Here's the pitch. Ground ball, shortstop, up with it. Sets her feet, fires over to first in time for out number 3. As Bartell grounds out 6-4 for out number 3. That'll bring up Kawamoto, Bustamante, and Bradley when Honu come back to the plate. But in the meantime, the score is still Angels 4, Honu 2. As the Angels come back to try and get some more runs to add to their lead.
We talked a little bit about the pitcher's mask, but those kind of hot shots to third base and also short are why you might even see some players at those positions wearing masks in this tournament.
Yeah, so the bases are 70 feet away from each other, as you'd mentioned. The pitcher is 20 feet closer than that. Think about that. The third baseman is 20 feet further away from the pitcher to the home plate. So those balls come at you. It's not like they slow down as they come at you when you're at a shorter distance. So we have seen a lot of these masks, and that's just smart safety there.
Having worn them, the only downside I've ever felt, you get used to the feeling of having it on your face. There are bars on it, and you can lose the ball for just a split second, but it usually doesn't affect the play too much.
That'll bring up Mary Blondel. There's a little duck snort out there to third. She's up with it and records the out. As Bennett also flies out to third. Nope. Go ahead.
Another interesting thing about this field is if you look at where the pitcher's standing, there's a line there that's 2 or 3 feet across. Most fields have a much smaller rubber, but they're letting the pitcher use the entire line, so they can create some interesting angles if they know how to exploit the width that they have to work from.
So Bennett gets on board. And she takes it herself in time for the out, says base umpire Darren Elliott. And that is all 3.
And this game seems to be moving along pretty quickly now.
Score is Honu 2, Angels 4. Honu is the home team, so that means we are starting another inning. Sorry, we're going to the...
In a lot of local league games, you won't see 7 innings played, but we've been seeing that a lot here at the World Series.
We had a couple yesterday.
In fact,
And
one
some
that went
extra
to extra
innings,
innings.
yeah.
Which brings its own set of rules that we'll talk about more if we get there.
So Honu is up now. That's Bennett. Sorry, that was Kawamoto. My bad. One out. Kawamoto will head to the bench for Bustamante. Out called a strike there on the corner. Here comes the pitch. Pops that one up. Pitcher's tracking it. Has it for the out. And Kawamoto, or Bustamante rather, goes out F1 for out 2. That'll bring up Bradley with 2 outs and nobody on. Trying to start a little bit of a rally here.
And that can be the tough part of this 1-1 count. If you take a pitch and it's a strike, you have to swing just to keep the ball in play.
Really at anything close. There's a ground ball shortstop. She's up with it, finds it on the pleasant bounce, fires a strike over to 1, but the ball gets away. Now she's going to head to second. She's going to be out, but the umpire is saying there's been some interference. He's going to call it there. That's Darren Elliott right on top of that. He's going to call interference on that play. And the Angels are going to ask a question about that. Their contention is, or will be, that the pitcher, or as the shortstop tossed that ball over to first, there was a collision there, and the interference is going to come as a result of the fielder's interference. However, Austin's argument there is that because the ball was thrown, the pitcher has an or the first baseman has an opportunity to kind of try to recover from that and then go back and try to get the ball, and that recovery was where the sort of collision occurred. Their argument will fall on deaf ears, as that was clearly interference there. And now to Staten as she takes the ball. The runner at second with 2 outs, who will undoubtedly be going on contact, even if the ball's hit to the left side, at least take a couple of steps until that ball gets through. Now 3-1. There's a fly ball in left field. And we have a catch by the left fielder. So no harm, no foul on that error and interference call.
And those interference calls are tough. We couldn't see quite what was happening from up here, but often it's the first baseman, if they, as part of getting the ball or after the ball goes by, get in the baseline that the runner is entitled to, it can be interference. But in other times, if the runner gets in the way of the throw or the motion of throwing from second, the runner can be called for interference.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky and probably one of the most misunderstood applications from a player's perspective. The umpires always seem to get it right, but the players always seem to kind of like wonder, well, is it not? And then some players feel like you have to throw the ball for it to be considered interference.
And when you're looking at the differences between the D and C and B divisions as you go up, sometimes you see a little bit less of that because you start to learn where you need to be as a fielder to stay out of those base paths after a play.
So that'll bring up the Austin Angels. It's number 7 at the plate. She hits a shot right up the middle and is going to be safe at first base. So here's a fun fact. I'm looking at the Austin lineup. I don't see a number 7. So I'm not entirely sure who that was. That'll bring up 32.
And this is the second uniform I think we've seen from these Austin Angels. They were
right.
red yesterday.
So that was Robledo. This is Fernandez. That was Breach who hit that. She is number 7. So Robledo was out. That'll bring up Fernandez. It's a shot down the right side. So it'll be Fernandez, Gola, and Fideli.
And that's a great stroke trying to hit that ball to right field, but now you've got a strike, so it'll be interesting to see if she tries that again or if she just goes more up the middle to put it in play. tough pitch to take.
Line drive out to left center field. She's up with it. Right into her glove. Can't really call that a foul ball or fly ball because that was just a shot, hard line drive shot. But that's 2 outs either way. For Gola with a runner at first. That's a beautiful pitch. Started outside, just came back long enough to catch that outside corner. The count is 1 ball, 2 strikes. A little more inside with that one as she pokes one into the 5.5 hole. Breach is going to get to second as Gola gets on board with a 2-out single.
Viewers may notice that there are still pink ribbons out there on the field. That's because yesterday was Breast Cancer Awareness Day here with ASANA, and those are still out there, and you still see some of the umpires especially wearing their pink gear today.
Ground ball again in the 5.5 hole. Breach is going to round third, head for home. Here comes the throw. It's going to be cut off by the third baseman. There won't be a throw home.
And you see that that keeps the runners at first and second, so there are still force outs at third and at second, which makes it a little easier to get an out on the infield.
The score rolls to 5-2 now as Morris comes up. Ground ball to shortstop, fires a strike over to second to get Fideli on the force, and on the fielder's choice that Morris hits into, the play goes 6-4, and Fideli is the third out on the force. So that'll bring up Rodriguez, Young, and Trevino when the Angels come up next. In the meantime, it was good enough for 1 run, so the Angels extend their lead 5-2 over San Jose as we head into the bottom of the 5th inning.
You know, interestingly, Roman, these teams are both allowed to have a courtesy runner every inning, and I don't think we've seen that yet this game.
We saw one. I believe it was Breach who was put in for one of the runners in an inning or two ago, but that's the only one we've seen. Yeah, that's right.
And there are some managers who believe you got to use it every inning or you're wasting it. Other people try to find the
can't
exact
take it home
spot
with
or
you.
a player. Yeah.
That's one of those things when you're trailing, and so now we've got ourselves a 3-point deficit. It's one of those things where we might see Honu try to use now, depending on the kind of speed they're comfortable with on the bases. There's a ground ball shortstop. She's up with it, sets her feet, fires over to first. The ball gets away from the first baseman. We won't see an advance there.
And they recovered that ball quickly, but another reason we're not seeing as many advancements is there's not a lot of out-of-bounds territory on these fields. The ball gets by, it comes back to you because it hits a fence somewhere.
That was Osei safe at first, so that'll bring up Schroeder here. Here's the pitch. Goes after that one, sends a little flare out to right field. Osei's going to head to second. She's going to round second and head for third. She's going to get there as the ball gets away from the shortstop, but not enough for anyone else to advance. So Schroeder is safe at first. Osei makes it all the way to third. Plenty of speed there, so no issues.
And that little hit to right is something every coach would like to teach all their D players.
That was textbook, right? Every coach in every division would like to teach that to their players. I would love to have that hit. That was beautiful.
Right over the first baseman's head is always going to be a solid hit.
That brings up Bennett with nobody out and 2 runners on at the corners. So here's an opportunity for the Speedy Honu to try to make up some of those runs. Here's the pitch. Bennett gets into one, sends one to left center field. That one's going to drop. Osei will score. Schroeder's going to get to second as that ball gets in from the outfield in a hurry. So Bennett's aboard with an RBI single. And Speedy Honu add a run, 3-5 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. That'll bring up Bloom. Struck out in her last at bat. Here's the pitch. Just a little deep. So here we use a strike zone call as Joel has been talking about. That's really sort of the front half of the front shoulder and the back half of the back knee is kind of where that is, and it has to be over the plate. So as you've already explained, Joel, if the ball hits the plate, it's an automatic ball, and some folks might be used to a mat behind home plate. That mat does not exist, so it's where it crosses the plate, not where it lands. Here's full count. That one gets fouled back, and Bloom strikes out again. Big out there for the Austin Angels. That'll bring up Le'i Falafine up to the plate. She's 1 for 2.
And other than illegal pitches, the height is also where it crosses the batter.
Mm-hmm.
So you may look like that back line in the batter's box is somehow the depth line, but that's not actually the case.
Right. And it also depends on the height of the batter. So if the batter is 6'2", 6'3", or 5'4", 5'5", then where that ball lands is really going to be completely up to. It's going to be completely irrelevant.
It's going to be relevant, and some people get confused because they'll see a pitch that's called too low that isn't illegal. But if the batter's tall, that's a place that it can be over 6 feet, but still too low for that batter when it crosses them.
That's just good pitching. So Falafine hits a strike, and that takes there was some steel to take that pitch. Kind of nice and flat, just a little too deep. She goes after this one, though. Hens a shot out to left field. That one's going to drop. Shorter will head to third and stay put. Bennett gets to first, and Falafine is on board with a single that loads the bases for Reynoso. And she comes up to the plate knowing that the tying run is just 140 feet away.
And that was a great play in left. Sometimes you see the fielders have to hold up to get the bounce. She was running hard in to make sure those runners didn't score and picked it up on the first bounce.
So takes a strike there. Pitcher coming up with a big strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We'll see if that's going to be close. It's not. Just outside and a little deep. So the count goes to 2 balls and 2 strikes. I will say that it looked like it was going to be outside from the minute she left it left her hand. It did come back, but not enough. So it was a little closer than I was letting on. Here's a 2-2, and she goes after that one in the 5.5 hole past the extended glove of the shortstop, and that will bring in Schroeder. Bennett heads to third. She's going to round third and head home. Here comes the throw from the shortstop at third to try to get Falafine. It is not in time. So Falafine goes first to third on the single. Schroeder scores, Bennett scores, and now we've got ourselves a tie ball game here on Championship Saturday in an elimination game in the D division in the bottom of the 5th inning.
And it looked like the ball actually beat the runner there at third, but they didn't get the tag applied either as she was coming in or when she slightly went over the bag. Just a reminder, you can't overrun bases other than first and home, so you got to stay on it when you run there.
That'll bring up Nara Falafine with runners at first and third and 1 out. Here's the pitch. That's called illegal. Didn't reach the height requirement, and now we've got a count of 3 balls and 1 strike.
And that was another nice play by left center. That ball looked like it might get through the outfield, but she managed to knock it down and then come back and get it.
And Falafine takes a walk, and that loads the bases. So Bartell will come up with the bases loaded and 1 out.
And sometimes you pitch around a batter at that point so that you have a force out at home, a little dribbler that might otherwise score somebody. Now the pitcher can just play a little catch with the catcher and getting out at the plate with the bases loaded.
That one too high, or not too high, just deep. Called a ball over the back shoulder. There's a ground ball, shortstop. Up with it in her glove. She's going to go the short way over to third for out number 1, and the third baseman's going to hold the ball, not make an attempt to throw, and Falafine will score from third. Reynoso is out on the fielder's choice. She's out number 2. Nara Falafine will get to second. Bartell will be safe at first on the fielder's choice. That'll bring up Kawamoto with the bases, with runners at first and second, and 2 outs. Meanwhile, the Honu, have taken the lead now, 6-5.
And absolutely the right play to go to third on that. It's so tempting to come home, but you need to get that out, and I don't think she really had a shot there. Usually it's the pitcher or maybe third who can come home with that ball.
And her momentum was taking her that way anyway, so it was an easy toss. Otherwise, she has to stop, plan herself, hope that the second baseman's covering. And there's the fly ball to right center field. It is going to be caught right into the breadbasket as she heads down to the knees. Cue the Sports Center theme. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. We might see that one later on. Excellent play by the right center fielder to stop the bleeding there. So as the Angels come off the field, they've given up the lead 6-5. They are the visiting team there, so they're going to have to make up that run, and sooner rather than later, as we begin to worry about the clock.
You know, we mentioned hitting to right field and whether or not the catcher can catch and needing to know that. And in league play in local leagues, sometimes when you have to get new players in and get them taught, that's where you play them, is in right field and a catcher. But these World Series teams pick up players and come pretty stacked. There's usually not a real weak spot in the defense.
No, not at all. And we even saw some E-Division games, and there weren't really any weak spots there either. These ladies have come to play some ball. As the theme says, ballin' in the bayou. They are certainly living up to that this week.
Yeah, the level of play changes and the strength of the arms, but the heart and competitiveness does not change division to division here at the World Series.
That brings up Rodriguez now. She sends a shot right up the middle. That ball is going to get down, and the left center fielder makes a good job of getting over to cut that ball off. I thought that ball was ticketed for the outfield, but there's an example again of that thick, wet grass slowing that ball down.
Slowing that ball down, and that's a great place to hit. You may see later in the day some teams, or even in this game, playing a rover. If there's a team that comes out and just hits it up the middle, they sometimes move an outfielder in shallow behind second base to catch those balls and get them back in.
So Rodriguez will yield to Young. There's that runner you were talking about. That run is important. And there's another shot right up the middle. Runner's going to try to get to second before, but there's no shortstop covering there. So we've got runners at first and second, and nobody out for the Angels. That'll bring up Trevino.
And they didn't really try to make that play at second on that short fly, but sometimes that's why you need that runner.
There's a ground ball third, up with it, scoops it, steps it over to first, and sends a ball into right field. So Rodriguez is out, but Young is able to get to second, and Trevino, on the fielder's choice and overthrow, is able to get to second. So we've got Young at third, Trevino at second, and we'll flip the lineup over for Rios.
And with one down, it'll be interesting to see how the pitcher handles this. Again, they sometimes pitch around. They don't usually intentional walk, but they don't sometimes give somebody anything to hit.
There's a fly ball. They might, no, I was going to say they might call it an infield fire, but there's not a runner at first, so that's not going to happen. But they do get the out.
And that makes life a lot easier for the pitcher. Now you can just play to one and get out of this inning.
With that, though, you've got runners in scoring position and 2 outs, so that means that there will be runners going for Breach at the plate. So anything really into the outfield could very well score 2. They've used their runner in this inning, and that runner wound up being forced out at third base. So you've got the original runners at second and third. Breach comes up and pops that one out to the screen, and she will live to find another day. Catcher was all over that, though. She got up out of her crouch and was ready to catch that ball. As soon as it hit the screen, however, that becomes a dead ball.
The only mild danger to sending those runners on contact is you want to make sure if you're running from second, you don't make an easy tag for the shortstop that's simpler than the throw.
Right, it's kind of the runner at second base's job to kind of distract the shortstop long enough for everybody to get in. There's the line shot to left center field. That one's going to be caught on the run by the left center fielder, and so that effort gets snuffed out as Honu, the home team, comes back in for the bottom of the 6th inning.
And that was great positioning in left center fielding, and I thought that ball might come down, and in a lot of games that ball is going to be a little single, but she was right on top of it.
You see the Angels hustling out there. They're aware of the time. They're running out of it.
And the reason to hustle is the way the time works. If the clock has not expired, you get a new inning and a new full inning.
Right, so they've got to get these 3 outs pretty quickly. We appreciate you folks watching on Facebook, and we appreciate all the comments. Keep them coming. Share these videos with your friends and family so they know that these games are going on. Lots of excitement around here. That ball just over the head of Bustamante. Here's the pitch. That one called a strike on the outside corner. That was a pretty pitch. Here's the 2-2. That one just short. That was a tough. Oh, there's some steel from Bustamante. There's a shot into center field, but the shortstop is able to come over and get it. And one quick out that they needed, served up by Bustamante. She took a couple of pitches, though, and that's really important. She took 3 pitches altogether.
Yeah, you're going to see different time management strategies.
That'll bring up Bradley.
The Angels are trying to play fast, and the Honu are going to try to slow it down and try to run out that clock.
There's a foul ball.
And it's tough as a pitcher because you've got to get the ball up there quickly, but you got to throw strikes because they're going to be taken.
Right, they're going to take until probably a strike is called, and just to try to do everything they can to minimize or to extend the time. There's a ground ball past the glove of the shortstop, so that's going to be a base hit for Bradley. So now Austin Angels is looking for that ground ball from Stanton, who comes into the box, hoping to suck up some time. Got to give credit to Honu there. They're not milking this clock, and that's one of those things that you just look for is good sportsmanship. Ground ball over to third. She's able to get Bradley out at second, but the return throw to first to try to get Stanton not in time. A little too speedy for that.
And that's a great point. They are taking pitches, which is smart, but they're not wasting too much time in the batter's box or calling for little meetings or anything like that.
They're not milking it. There's a little fly ball out to left center field. That's going to get past the glove of the shortstop. Here comes the throw into second, but not in time to get Stanton. So Osei is able to get a runner up. And it looks like we might have a clock stoppage here, and that's going to be the ball game. It was close when we started the inning. They were just an out away from being able to start a new inning, but the Angels' run has come to an end, and the Speedy Honu of San Jose will take this game and advance into the bracket. They've got a couple more games to win to see if they can make it into the championship, but for now, this game ends. San Jose Honu 6, Austin Angels 5, and we got ourselves a nice opening game this morning.
We did, and just watch out here if we still have the camera rolling. These teams, it's all about sportsmanship, and they are going to grab hands and usually congratulate each other and often wish the team that beat you the best to go forward because it's always nice to lose to the future champion.
We will take a quick break here, reset some of our equipment, wipe it down because the humidity is extreme out here right now. So we're going to wipe down some of our connections, blow some air on them, and hope that everything dries out. We'll be back as soon as we can with the next game. In the meantime, you are watching the 2018 ASANA Softball World Series from New Orleans, Louisiana at the Valerie Sportsplex in Chalmette, Louisiana, just a couple of miles away from downtown New Orleans. For Mitch Barnes, Joel Trambley, I'm Roman Jimenez on the Cloud Sports Network. Signing off for now. We'll be right back.